Technobrain, Africa's second fastest growing technology company. Africa came first, we came in second.
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Unstoppable. My name is Peter Ndeng, and this week I'm talking to Minaz Manji, the Managing Director of Twiga Tours, an award-winning company right here in Nairobi. Minaz, so good to see you.
Oh, it's a pleasure indeed.
Yes, I've been really looking forward to this interview. 35 years. Where did you start?
I got into this business because I love this. I have a passion for our country. I have a passion for travel. And more importantly, I love to show the world my Africa through my own eyes. My father and I started this in 1980.
Okay.
You know, it was a great partnership because my father is a very, very good administrator. And I guess I could brag for myself that, you know, I'm good at marketing and pleasing our guests. So yes, I mean, you know, it was a great partnership. And then as we came along the way, my two children joined in about 10 years ago. Both of them had Western education, so they came in with new ideas, very creative, very modern, and as a result, you know, we had that additional advantage.
Yeah, let me just pause there for a minute. You're a family business, and you're competing against a field that is dominated by multinationals, or at least was. How was that? You know,
that was the bigger challenge when I first started this company. The industry was dominated by multinationals at that time.
Was.
And, you know, it was the biggest challenge because they had a network of agents around the world. They had their own network of retail offices, and they had the resources. But I didn't see it as a challenge. What I saw was that there was an opportunity.
Dad is probably one of the most resilient people I've ever come across. Challenges really bring him out of his comfort zone, makes him think out of the box, makes him bring out the more creative side of him, gets him to bring the team together, not just within the business or the family, but as an industry as a whole, and really get them to start thinking for solutions to overcome whatever challenge it is.
The multinationals they were never interested in providing personalized service. Their intentions were, it was a business. And of course, ours was completely different. We wanted to provide the warmth, hospitality
of Africa. So you're looking for a niche here.
Absolutely.
It's not existing in the existing business at the time.
And we still continue to do that. And I think that that is one of our key strengths, that, you know, now as a family business, we can extend the family warmth to all our guests.
Can you give me some examples of what you do when you talk of extending family warmth? What do you mean by that?
You know, for example, we will, as a family, one member of the family will always be at the airport to receive our international guest.
Okay.
And we don't take them as a visitor. We actually take them as a guest, as a part of our family who we haven't seen for a very long time. So, you know, we will meet them at the airport. We will meet them with wet towels and champagne. We will present them with a safari hat and safari essentials.
Okay. So the reception is very warm.
Absolutely.
Anything else? What else?
Yes, you know, if we find out or if we know in advance that somebody is celebrating an occasion, for example, if it's a wedding anniversary or a birthday, we will go out of our way to create an out of Africa celebration for them. We also invite all our guests to our family home to come and meet all members of the family.
He's very friendly and easy to reach, and in case of problems, especially right now we are faced with terrorism attack in the country, he ensures that the guests and the clients that come into the country, that they feel safe in Kenya, And also he makes sure that the guides are well trained to make sure that the safari is very successful.
If possible, on the last day, we will have a farewell dinner at our family home.
That's interesting.
Otherwise, if their flight schedule doesn't allow it, we will then have them on arrival. But we will have all our guests come and enjoy a meal with us, get to know us as a family, get to meet a Kenyan family, appreciate the warm African tradition that is usually, just not just food, but with song and dance.
Let me take a segue from what you've just said and ask you about the industry itself. Beginning with the challenges, because I know challenges that you faced back when you were starting are very different from the challenges perhaps that you're facing today. Let's go back and talk about that.
Well, when I started, of course, the major challenge was facing up to the competition provided by the multinationals. Yet, I was able to meet up with a lot of people, persuade them and convince them that, we were providing a different quality and level of service, and we knew Africa better than anybody else, because we have lived here, we have experienced the destination, and we understand the local cultures.
And how did you do this marketing? How were you actually doing the promotion?
Initially we had to first of all create a brand locally. So we had to be well known as a strong and reputable company locally, so that we have the respect of the local community.
Right.
But once we had established ourselves as a brand, which was going from 1980 to I think 83, I started international marketing. So I went to areas which were not dominated by some of the multinationals. The reason why, of course, they were not interested in those areas was because the numbers were small. So I went to places like Egypt, so the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Greece, and then later on, once we were successful in these areas and we started getting numbers, and of course built up on our resources, that we entered the markets, the bigger markets like Germany, the UK, United States, and if I can say, fought battles on their home grounds.
Okay. So it's been a process, and you've built the company, and today, how do you rank yourself within the landscape of tourism players here?
Of course, I'd like to brag and say we don't have any competition.
Oh, come on. Okay.
But seriously, we know we are in a class of our own. Because one, we are a family-owned company, so we are able to provide our own personal attention, our personal warmth at all times. We want all our guests always to go back home with memories that they will cherish forever.
Minaz, I'm going to fast forward then to the present, because there are a number of serious challenges that the tourism industry here in East Africa, and particularly in Kenya, are facing of a global nature. Can you talk about this? And I'd like to hear how you're dealing with those.
When the media announced there was Ebola in West Africa, people assumed, because geography is poor, they assumed that Ebola was continent-wide.
It was an African thing.
Absolutely. And people do tend to say, I'm going to Africa when they're going to Kenya. So that whole African continent is one country.
Right.
So
that was a hit.
Absolutely. So we were hit by Ebola.
Right.
We are facing a big challenge with security right now.
Right.
The perception in our source markets, and globally I would say, is that Kenya is unsafe. And unfortunately, we seem to be having these incidents from time to time. So that then makes that perception as something that is true.
So it's more than a perception.
Absolutely.
We do have a problem.
We do have a problem. I mean, presently, we are facing the travel advisories, which has, in fact, probably it's a really hard blow where our
From
numbers
Britain particularly, and the United States.
United States, and then there are other countries that have also followed suit, for example, Australia. So, our numbers are low.
Every challenge has a solution. You just have to look at it from a different angle. And that is what Dad has always taught us from a very young age. No matter how difficult it gets, no matter what the circumstances are, right now being a classic example where tourism is literally, as people say, down on its knees. It's possibly the worst it's ever been, but we have to keep going. We have to keep trying to find some sort of solution which will not just fix the problem now, but for the long term going forward.
If I look at my own company, all my vehicles are parked. That is the first time in my 35 years that I have a fleet of vehicles that's parked and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. I have no clue when these will be back on the road. I mean, our bookings are so low. I am worried about July and August as well, because this is our peak season.
July and August.
It's the migration season.
Right.
And if we don't pick up on the last minute bookings, I think the industry is in real trouble. So I think that this is a serious crisis that needs immediate attention. But I also want to add that besides security, we are also facing the issue of the depreciation of major currencies against the US dollar.
Right.
Now, Kenya is pegged to the US dollar, so what is happening is that what was previously 20 or 30% cheaper has now become 20 to 30% more expensive. However, we can make ourselves competitive if the government were to re-look or review the VAT structure, the park fees, the visa fees, and so forth. So, we need the support of the government very quickly to appreciate some of these, or rather acknowledge some of these issues
And find
that
ways
are
to
hurting the industry before it's too late.
Maybe I'm looking at you as a business. You're faced with probably one of the biggest challenges you've faced in 35 years. Do you see yourselves adjusting in terms of your business strategy, or in terms of how you organize yourself, or even in terms of scale?
At some point I did tell you that I never see a crisis as an end.
Right.
I always see a crisis as an opportunity. And this is a deep crisis. If we build bridges with our diaspora who speak positively and patriotically about Kenya, they spread the message of goodwill. That will rub on to wherever they are. I think that we can also forge a great partnership with the government because we need to work with each other.
Right.
And I think that these kind of crises sometimes bring out the best in people. It may take a little while because this is a difficult one. As I said, there are a number of factors. It's not just about security. It's not about our image and perception, but there's also more to it. So when you look at it as a whole, I think that we should find the opportunities there.
Minaz Manji, what a man and what an opportunity he sees in a time of crisis, as he calls it. A time when the industry is facing its darkest moments, he sees hope and opportunity. That's what Unstoppable is all about. I'm Pete Ondeng, and we'll be back with another episode of Unstoppable. Goodbye.
Technobrain, Africa's second fastest growing technology company. Africa came first, we came in second.